Welcome to Waukesha County GovCast, your source for what's happening in our vibrant community. I'm your host, Hillary Mintz, Public Information Officer.
And I'm Sean Lundy, Chief of Staff for Waukesha County Executive Paul Farrow.
Each episode, we dive into the latest news, community projects, and the initiatives shaping Waukesha County, where innovation meets public service. From in-depth discussions on local governance to county services, we're here to keep you informed and connected. So whether you're a resident, a business owner, or just curious about local government, join us for a closer look at the heart of your county. Well, hello and welcome to GovCast. Today is Tuesday, July 14th. I'm Hillary Mintz here with Sean Lundy.
Hey, Hillary.
Hey, Sean. Well, 1 week ago today, we lost our brave and fearless leader, County Executive Paul Farrow. Paul died after a 2-year battle with a rare stomach cancer, and needless to say, it has been a tough time for so many of us here at the county who worked with him. And of course, our heartfelt condolences, certainly with Paul's family right now as they continue to grieve. Remembering Paul, his legacy and contributions to Waukesha County will continue for a long time, but government operations never stop. And that's why today we are joined by County Board Chairman Jim Heinrich, who is now acting county executive. So, Jim, some mixed emotions with having you here. We're happy that you have immediately stepped into this role, but sad that we even had to have you do that.
Yeah, I think we're all in consensus with that thought. It's like, the saddest thing in the world to lose a good friend like Paul.
Yeah, we're definitely meeting under terribly sad circumstances, and our hearts go out to Amy and Paul's boys and daughters-in-law and, his brothers and the entire Farrow family. The Waukesha County team lost an incredibly energetic leader and a great friend. And, I think his legacy will be one of that heartfelt leadership. He was very political, but not fiercely partisan. He was committed to service, and he truly had friends and made friends absolutely everywhere that he went. And, our whole county team will miss him. And I know many, many people that live here in Waukesha County in the region and the people that he served with in Madison will miss him very much. So that's where we're at. What are your kind of just general thoughts on Paul as a leader? We don't, we have things that we want to inform the public about, but at the same time, we want to just take a pause and take a moment and just kind of reflect a little bit on Paul's incredible service to Waukesha County.
I remember first time I met Paul really was at John and Margaret, his parents' home. That's a long time ago, obviously, and very friendly, outgoing guy. And so then when County Exec Raucus decided that he was going to have somebody succeed him, and he recommended Paul Farrow was the person that he was going to support for the county exec position. I was thinking, wow, sometimes when you're looking at the county board, you're looking at the exec position or local government municipalities, what are these people bringing to the table? And I'm saying, Paul Farrow, man, he was a state rep, state senator. He's bringing a lot of stuff to the table as far as the county is concerned. Hopefully, his contacts, his relationships that he's developed in Madison will be beneficial for Waukesha County. So we're all thinking of that. But the thing is that while that's important, that isn't what made Paul great. Paul was a very outgoing, one of these guys that would just embrace you, and he'd be a great listener. I mean, you'd sit across from the table with him, and we'd be eye-to-eye contact. And while he may or not agree with you, he always made me feel like he was agreeing with me. And it just kind of a real comfort feeling. And I think that kind of shaped the relationship between the county board and the county executive's office, because I think that from my perspective, we've got a great relationship, and I think that's why Waukesha County works so well, and it's partly due to people like Paul Farrow who decided, hey, Waukesha County is more important than me as an individual, and he did anything that he could to make Waukesha County a great place to live. And I'm very appreciative of that. He did bring great things to the table, but, it was more than that.
Yeah, and it's he was a Republican. He was chairman of the Republican Party of the state of Wisconsin. He was a partisan elected member of the legislature. But when he came here, he really developed an understanding that you can be a fiscal conservative and you can be a Waukesha County guy, but also at the same time understand that our government needs to operate. We need money to fund our sheriff's department and keep our roads safe and our people safe. And it's a different perspective. It's a little mindset shift between kind of the partisan kind of battling that goes on in the legislature and then changing to a very executive mindset that you're running this 1,500 person organization that needs to function, and it needs to go on.
That's the key there. I think that Waukesha County is functioning well as a result of that type of leadership.
Yeah.
I agree. I understand Paul's conservative, Republican. We do have a mix of people on the county board and certainly the staff that not everybody's, I think the thought for Waukesha County is that, it's a Republican county, not as much as it used to be. And the thing is that I think it's just kudos to the leadership that we're able to work so well together.
Yeah. So Paul was first elected county executive in 2015. Since then, he was reelected in 2019. Most recently, he was reelected in 2023. And at the time of his passing, he was in the final year of his term, which ends next April. When he did pass, you, under state statute, state law, you immediately took over as acting county executive. And there are a few other steps that are prescribed by state law that kind of work us through a special election process and eventually the election of a new county executive in the spring. Maybe you can talk about that. That process really kicked off in earnest, like it or not. We had to do certain things under state law. One of those things was that the county clerk had to order a special election within 7 days. So that occurred, and then the county board took action last Friday. What did the county board do? Why did you have to have a special meeting? What went on there?
I want to go back a little bit to just let people know that this wasn't a knee-jerk reaction upon the death of Executive Farrow. We had met weeks before with the corporate counsel, chief of staff, chief of staff of the county board, and discussed what's the ramifications in the event of Paul's passing. He was severely sick. We knew that it might be inevitable, but I think the proactive planning for that was very important for me. I don't know what the statutes read, and the corporate counsel shared with us what was in the statutes and the steps we needed to take. So you're right. We have a 7-day period to designate when the next special election is going to be for the interim. I'm acting. The interim is somebody I appoint. So I got a call at home and said, well, we probably really want to set the meeting, have a meeting to discuss when we're going to have this special election. Because of the timing, I didn't want it to fall during the holidays, because I think I want to get as many people out there for Waukesha County that can vote. And sometimes when the holidays, people are not home and people have other things to do. So I want to get as many votes out there. And so I said, fine, I'll set up a special meeting for the county board where we can address this. The county clerk then, with that, developed an order for us, the county board, to look at for a date of December 15th, which is the only agenda item that we had for this special meeting. And the discussion was made on that particular item, and it was voted and passed unanimously by the county board to agree with the December 15th being the date for the election.
And just to clarify, the you're selecting the date part, you really had to choose between 2 weeks. So
Yes.
your options for this election were not like, hey, this could be tomorrow or next week,
Right.
whatever. Your options really were the primary could have been on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, so 2 days before Thanksgiving, making the general election the 22nd of December, right before Christmas, or you could have gone with a date that you did go with, which was the 17th of November and the 15th of December. And so it was like, even though this is in the middle of November and the middle of December, and those are odd election dates, and it is holiday season-ish and all that stuff, it could have been way worse as far as what would have been an even lower turnout. So the board really had to act quickly. Otherwise, you would have been forced into that later date. And the reason for all of that is state law, and it's quite complicated in what applies to a special election for county executive versus what applies to a special election for other offices. And it kind of gets us to the next part of our conversation, because, we've gotten some feedback from people and some municipal clerks who are unhappy with the fact that there is a special election, or I think very practically questioning, why can't this be aligned with November? Why can't this just be aligned with the county executives reelect in the spring? And the very simple answer is because state law says it can't be.
Correct.
So even though, and I know you and I have talked about this, and we've talked about it with other people, including the county's lawyers, about what's going on here and the Wisconsin Election Commission, but there are really no other options. And we also have the benefit that we reached the same conclusion that Racine County reached when they had the unfortunate passing of Jonathan Delagrave, their county executive 2 years ago, who also passed away in the first week of July. And they had their special election in mid-December of following Executive Delagrave's passing. So we did have some precedent to examine, and we did our own examination and reached the same conclusion that Racine did. And so ideally, could this have been aligned with other things? Yes. Should we look at changes to state law to make sure that other counties aren't put in this position or having extra expense? Yes. But your hands were tied, and in my opinion, you made a decision that was as good as it could be when you had two really poor options.
Exactly right. I mean, I think Waukesha County is overall fiscally responsible. They look at the tax dollars and say, hey, this is my money too, and I want to spend this in the most fiscally responsible and prudent manner as possible. And I understand the arguments on that, but we're tied by state statute, and corporate counsel, advised us, and we went forward, and the decision had to be made within 30 days to appoint an interim executive, and so that's not a lot of time. 7 days to set a date. Within 30 days, you have to find an interim, and so the proactive part that we did, prior to Paul's death, and everything that helped, but it's still pretty rapid, and I think we're on the right track so far.
So just to, we'll switch topics here a little bit. I just want to give a very quick timeline of events. So we have any vacancy in the office of county executive, had it been Paul's passing or the resignation, some county exec's resignation or whatever, the county board chair immediately becomes the acting county executive. Then under state law, you have, or the special election's then ordered within 7 days. And from the time of the vacancy, you have 30 days to nominate an individual to be the interim county executive,
Correct.
to serve out the period of time between the vacancy and your acting and the end of the special election, the certification of the special election. So you have a seated county exec, you have a vacancy, you then have the acting, which is you immediately upon the vacancy. Then you have you appointing an interim, and the interim serves until the end of the special election certification. That person serves out the term.
So that you're about to nominate an interim, which I know you're not going to tell us who, but it's not going to be you.
That could have been me, but it's not something that I think for the best of Waukesha County should be me.
So you're about to kind of name this interim, which the board will, at the end of the month, will look at. While you can't tell us the name of the person you're thinking about, what kind of qualities, do you want this person to have as they kind of take over this office between now and that mid-December special election?
Well, there's three main points that come to mind as far as the person that I want to sit as interim. First, the person has to know Waukesha County. They have to be familiar with the operations of Waukesha County and be comfortable with that. We don't have a lot of time here, so I need somebody that can, get up and go from day one. Not a lot of learning curve on this particular thing. So that's very important for me to have somebody that's very familiar with Waukesha County. The second thing is I need somebody. We just started the budget process for 2027. I need somebody that's also comfortable in working on budgets and is familiar with them and comfortable with them. There are some people, while I'm a CPA and comfortable with numbers, there's some people that they see a number and they just kind of freeze up. So I need somebody that's comfortable and experienced at budget process. And the last thing that I really want, I want to continue the initiatives that Executive Farrow has started. I don't want somebody to come in and make changes and be a distraction. I want this to be a situation where staff and Waukesha County residents don't even know that there's a change going on. It's going to be a smooth transition. We're going to have somebody that knows what they're comfortable with as far as the county budgets and not planning on running for the election. I think that I have a candidate that I will be announcing soon. In fact, at the executive committee meeting, we will be bringing it to the executive committee, that person, and the person will or will not be approved there. I would hope certainly my selection will be approved, and then we'll go from there. And it's kind of interesting, Sean, you were talking about, we've got, you got Executive Farrow, and then the acting, then the interim, then within a 12-month period, we're going to have 5 different executives. Really,
potentially, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, Jim, we can't thank you enough for kind of stepping into this situation under, unfortunate circumstances. And there's a very good chance that on our next episode of GovCast, in your seat will be the interim county executive. So, it's definitely a lot of moving parts, a very fluid situation here at the county, and we'll kind of see how it all plays out. But I think that explanation of kind of not only who you're looking for to take over, but sort of why we're in this, how we have to follow these steps was just a great information for our listeners.
Yeah, and your approach, I think, is right on, because I know that people have mentioned names of individuals to you. And when you and I were talking about this yesterday, how you said, I've gotten a lot of names, but they share common characteristics.
Yes.
And so it's really the characteristics of those individuals that, led you to, the person that you're kind of honing in on at the moment. And so everyone who suggested a name to you really helped you find the right person by identifying pretty clear-cut characteristics of what what a caretaker kind of leader would do in this kind of intervening period. And I think that's was a great way to approach
Sean,
it.
I think, as I mentioned earlier on, that Executive Farrow was a great listener. I think people learn more when they listen. And so to have people reach out to me and make suggestions of who they think might be a good interim candidate, I think is great. I think the more information I have, the better it is for my final decision.
Well, Jim, thanks again for coming on GovCast. Thanks for listening. We appreciate your support. Follow and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.